Hello everyone, welcome to this video CAT by LPT. Now in today's video we will be dealing with the English section as far as the CAT is concerned. Now I'm sure some of you would be attempting CAT 25 and you would be having some queries in terms of what exactly are the questions in English, what are the marking scheme, what are the types of questions and what are the strategies that you need to follow in order to tackle this section. Now as I'm sure you all know that there are three sections in the entire CAT paper. So first section is known as, so it's VARC, and this is the section name for the entire English section that is given in CAT. So what happens here is that you have something called verbal ability, this is one part, and you have reading comprehension. Okay. Now as you can see here, here are two parts that you need to understand. So you will be dealing with one part which is verbal ability, okay, and the second part of course is reading comprehension, right. Now we will be dealing into the details of this section. Let us go further and deal with it. Okay, let's see. Now, when you talk about this VARC section, it has verbal ability and reading comprehension. So again, when you talk about the entire section here, it has total of 24 questions. Okay. So this is the number. So entire verbal section in the last year's paper, that was CAT 24, it had a total of 24 questions designed to test your verbal skills, or better you call it as a comprehension skills. Okay, so total number yaad rakhiyega, it is 24 questions. Now for the entire section, or for that matter all the three sections that have a time limit of 40 minutes. So for every section, so when you talk about verbal ability and reading comprehension section, it has 40 minutes for you. So you will have to navigate these 24 questions in approximately 40 minutes. And skills assess, so what are they checking you on, so what are the skills that are being tested here. So it says the section evaluates candidates' ability to understand and analyze written content. So when you talk about what is the skill set that is being checked over there, is that it is all about your ability to understand the written text. So every question that you will be dealing with will give you a test in terms of you need to understand what is written, interpret it, and then produce your answers. Now, so when it comes down to RC, so this is an important part. Now look at this, it's a very important information. It has a total of 16 questions. Okay, so now understand, out of a total of 24 questions in the entire section of VARC, you have 16 questions that come exclusively from RC. Now what exactly is an RC? RC is nothing but unseen passage that probably you would have solved way back in your school. So you will be given a passage with few questions and you will have to deal with it in terms of its answers. So RC consists of 16 questions, which is a huge chunk in terms of saying that the 24 questions that you get over here, the major chunk would come from RCs. Okay, so 4 passages with 4 questions, so you will have 4 passages. The length of these passages could be anywhere between 450 words to 550 words. This is the ideal length so far, so this is what we are expecting in CAT 25 as well. Okay, and it would have 4 questions. The number would go here and there because see, CAT gives you certain unpredictable things, so every year there is a slight change in the paper, so it would go somewhere over here. But normally as far as the RC section is concerned here, so you have 4 passages with 4 questions each, that totally makes up to the 16 questions in total. Okay, so let's talk about this part here, which is reading comprehension. So it gives you 16 questions. I'm sorry. Okay, so it gives you a total of 16 questions. Let's look at this part here. Now, when it comes down to reading comprehension, I told you it gives you 16 questions in total. So this is a number that you have over here. Okay, this is a number that you should keep in mind. It has been pretty consistent in the last couple of years. Now when it comes down to verbal ability, so verbal ability gives you 8 questions. Okay, so there is a huge difference in terms of the number of questions in RC as well as VA. So RC gives you 16 questions, verbal ability gives you 8 questions. Now these 8 questions will come from 3 major areas. So you have para summary question. We will deal with every type in the forthcoming sessions, but for the now just understand you have para summary. So you have sentence placement question. This is one more question type that you see there, and then you have odd one out, which is the third type. Now I have mentioned para jumbles here because over the past couple of years it was a pretty consistent feature in CAT. But yes, last year, that was CAT 2024, there was a surprise that there was not a single para jumble question. But we can't say the same for the CAT 25. You may have a para jumble question or you may not have a para jumble question. So we at least will be looking into that. You should know how to deal with these question types. So basically there are 4 areas that you get your questions from, and precisely these 3 are the markers in the last year's paper, that was CAT 24. Okay, let's look at the quick sign up here. So reading comprehension had 16 questions in total. Para summary questions had 3 questions in total. So out of this entire number here, you had 2 questions of odd one out and you had 3 questions of para completion. As I told you earlier, there was not a single question of para jumble that was given to you. But yes, for CAT 25, we will be dealing with para jumble questions also, because if there is a change in the paper, you might have to deal with para jumble once again. Right, so let's talk about the marking scheme, because you should be knowing for every correct answer you would be getting +3. For every wrong answer you would be getting a -1. So there is a penalty of -1 in terms of the negative answers for incorrect theta questions. Now what exactly is a theta question? Theta question is a question where you don't have options. So sometimes CAT does give you questions जहाँ पे options नहीं होते हैं and you have to type in your answers there. So for incorrect theta question there is no negative marking, so you would not have any profit, any loss, and for any unattempted question also you would not have any penalty of any mark. So for theta and unattempted, no negative marks. For an incorrect MCQ question you have -1. For every correct answer you have +3. Now let's also look at score versus percentile, because you need to know out of these 24 questions how many questions should be getting right in order to scale a particular percentile here. So look at the number here. So at the lowest level you have 15 marks. 15 marks is like 5 questions. So 5 questions, net correct 5 questions would give you a percentile of 75. 18 marks would give you a percentile of 80. Right, so this is again a benchmark, because see, most of these colleges, the top colleges, and even for that matter IIMs, they look for sectional cutoffs, and sectional cutoffs is somewhere around this number. It might change a little bit in terms of the next year's paper, but as of now 80 percentile is what we look as the safe option in terms of what you need to score to get into a college. Okay, then you have 30 marks which will give you 95 percentile. Then you have 40 which is giving you a 99 percentile, and if you look it from here, then you have 55 marks that would give you a 99.9 percentile. So huge gap here in terms of 40 and 55. So it's a big chunk, but yes, for a safer option, of course, we have something over here which is 80 percentile, and of course you can maximize your score based upon how quickly you can navigate through the section and how much accuracy can you actually get there. Okay, so in conclusion, let's deal with this. Exceptional comprehension skills. Now let me repeat this once again, students, that as far as the verbal ability and reading comprehension section is concerned, it's all about exceptional comprehension skills. So if you understand the text well enough, if you understand what is written, if you interpret it correctly, you look at the options, you look at the answers, and you're able to navigate it through, trust me, the comprehension skills would come in very handy. So this is the single most important factor for your accuracy in the section. Next, we have clear understanding of question type. So I told you about RC. RC has further question types. So we will be looking at some 8 to 10 variety of questions in RC in the forthcoming sessions. But as of now, just understand it's very important to know what are the question types. So you have RC, you have verbal ability, you have para summary, you have odd one out, you have para jumbles, you have sentence completion. These questions have to be understood in terms of their types and how they are supposed to be approached. Then you have time management, as I told you before, 40 minutes for the entire section. So every section in CAT gives you 40 minutes, right? So for VARC 24 questions, you will again have 40 minutes and you will have to navigate with the time management here. So you have to make sure that you are attempting maximum number of questions according to your ability in the span of 40 minutes. So the time management is crucial. And then you have to balance RC versus VA. Now the single most important advice that I give to my students is that, see, there are many students who focus on RCs, and of course it is absolutely okay because RC gives you 16 questions. But what I feel is that these 8 questions of verbal ability are simply your game changer. So if you can navigate through these 8 questions. The reason I am telling you this is because in the last year's paper, because I attempted the paper here, in the last year's papers, out of these 8 questions of verbal ability, 6 questions were pretty manageable. So RCs were tricky, the options were close, and some of the time we were not convinced with the answers. But yes, verbal ability questions were pretty straightforward. The answers were clear if you knew how to navigate the choices, how to understand the concepts, and how to eliminate your choices. So this was pretty manageable. So make sure that out of these 2 areas, which is RC and VA, you pay attention to RC, which is the major chunk of the entire slot. But out of these 16 questions and 8 questions, you are also paying attention to these 8 questions, which is important, right? So it's all about balance. Now I've told you what are the type of questions, what is the marking scheme, what is the percentile. I hope it gives you a clear idea in terms of what exactly these sections is and what do you need to do through. In the coming sessions, we will be dealing with the other aspects of verbal ability and reading comprehension. So stay tuned for the videos and I'll see you there. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.